Hey folks, how's it going? After the Red 10 Spark, it's finally safe to start spending bars and sunstones, especially since the next time I will touch the gacha is likely going to be the end of summer banner. So while we get there, let's go element by element and see which one is going to need the most help, cause I'm sure a couple of them are pretty down in the dumps. And speaking of down in the dumps, Fire feels basically unplayable without Percival and Wilnas. Magna has always been a big downgrade, but the power creep of this last year and a half has been just insane. The Mihail Spark helped a little bit, but with these pain and suffering weapons you still want to, even in Magna. The Lord of Flames being another EX booster usable in it would make for a third grand weapon, and at this point, can you still call it a Magna grid? Still, Fire is required for CTI level if anything, and my Kengo team needs 12 to 13 turns for the blue chest honors, which is 6 or 7 turns too slow. I could potentially upgrade to Agni, but that would take 2 Percival, 1 more Mihail and 1 Wilnas. I've been sitting on Samnic Sabas for the longest time, and for some reason the game just loves throwing Rhine Fists my way. When it comes to extras, 2 Yukata Silva guns and 2 Summer Medusa floaties should be enough. I only have 1 Summer Kumbi weapon though. On the summon side, no horse, but I did get a couple of Wilnases, and that extra 40% weapon skill boost is pretty damn juicy. Still, 4 grand weapons is a pretty long shot, but I would like to at least start with Grand Percival, who is going to go in the highest priority slot for my next Spark, right under Yukata Ilsa and the new swimsuits, cause priorities have to be kept straight. Water is still pain and suffering less, and I fear for the moment they release it, cause there's a good chance it will be linked to Grand Gabriel. She would be an instant Spark target like Halwell and Manuel and Mihail were. Before that though, I don't think I would to consider any sort of upgrades. I'm still in the process of farming my 3rd and 4th Schrödingers, and going primal would require at least a couple of Wandus X's. Other than those, I've been sitting on some Folia Bows, Europa and Poseidon Spears, as well as a couple of Dragon Balls. I think I'll want to check the Attack Awakening on this eventually, but that's likely not going to happen this year. Wamdus being a Flash Gala character means the closest chance I will have at rolling for her will be on the December Flash Fest, unless I get really lucky during the summer free 10 rolls. Characters wise, I think Gwen and Erika would be interesting subtext choices, and I'll need to keep my fingers crossed for Summer Clarice this August. In the meantime, it will be Maria Theresa 5-star farm and maybe Portrait Transcendence, even if I don't think I will use him all that often. Earth is in a bit of a similar spot, but at least I have a few more characters available, with the big missing piece being just Satyr. One thing that's worrying me is that Siegfried has just gotten his Versus ticket, and after the Revan's raid, he might be in line for a grand version. With Iwia getting the Win Pain and Suffering instead of Raphael, they've shown that they can be inconsistent about who gets which type of weapon, and since Earth already has the 7% special cap up one, Sig might actually get it. If I had to consider upgrading to Primal, I would want to take into account needing 2 more Landslide Scepters and 2 Siegfried PNS weapons. The remaining slots can likely go to Ichigo's and or Awakening AK4A. Before the big upgrade though, I've been having this half idea of burying my Landslide Scepter and try to run Kame 5-star in the frontline on a 3 LX axis grid, but I still need to drop 3 more sands, so I might wake up from this fever dream while farming them. Other than Kame 5-star, I might consider bringing Octo to 150 after the Light Guild War, but that's probably also going to depend based on which element the one in July is going to be. On the summon side, this is where I might sink the most. Mammoth, Tsuchinoko and Galleon could eat all the 8 Sunstones I have. Wind has gotten a pretty big boost this past roulette thanks to both Charlotta and Iwia. Kind of makes me feel like I don't need Alu in Vein that much anymore. Even if I will likely stay Magna for a good long while, I still want to uncap that dagger. Despite having no other weapons for its voltage, the supplemental damage and the damage cap will still be plenty useful. I could also combine my Love Eternals or use 1 bar on 1 and keep a second copy just in case I can have the chance to go Zeph. And again, Grand Charlotta's weapon could bring more free stats and a special cap up to the grid. That would be 7 bars on a wind quote-unquote Magna grid though. A full Zeph upgrade would likely take 1 more Iwia, 1 to 2 Grand Charlottas and maybe a second Grand Naru. On the summon side, I should be pretty set at least. I don't think I'll ever do enmity stuff, so I shouldn't need the Demon Brim, and I could burn 2 Sunstones on Summer Rosetta for her Echo. Then worry about Iwia. When it comes to light, between the roulette and the antiques, I finally got my Nehan and Florence, and they will be joining Halloween Jugend Forever's team. On top of them, I also lucked out on my second Harmonia, so I think the only weapons I would need to consider a Zeus upgrade at this point would be Luo Fists and maybe a second Rinne, cause after the Great Eden Deluge of 2021, I might just use them to uncap each other, and if there's buzz to spend, they might go to the arcs instead. Summons wise, of course, Luo is missing, but I did manage to get 2 copies of Artemis, and I think I want to give her a couple of stones. Giving up on a few swords is making my HP drop, and her echo would also be very welcome. Another option for stoning would be Grand Order, since the 5% extra damage would help in null element fights, and so would the Drain. Lastly, Dark, and here too, I've been trying to play catch up for a while and failing miserably. The plan for this anniversary was pretty simple: Spark Halwell and Malwell, MOBA coin Spark Lich, and use the 150 gold moons on either Yatima or an Eresh. The MOBA coin Spark kind of went legs up though, and I've been so long without that second Pain and Suffering, I've basically resigned myself to grab one with a 0 ticks come the next Flashfest. Something Yukata Ilsa almost made me skip too. On the bright side, I still have 73 gold moons left, which means in the year since the last 0 ticks, I've actually gotten 195. Weapons wise, I would still be short 2 Hellmelt daggers and 1 Fedial spear, not to mention the Fedial summon, but with some baby steps, I'll eventually get there. So, 3 Dama bars are going to my second Pain and Suffering, 3 more to the signature, and I would be left with 3 gold bars, one of which will probably go towards Quarter's Transcendence. If I want to uncap that Iwiat dagger and burn an extra bar on the Love Eternal, I'm going to have to start hitting PBHL a bit harder than just daily hosts. When it comes to Sunstones, 8 sound like a lot, but 3 have to be reserved for the Fedial Summon, 3 more I would want to keep just in case Yatima shows up, and then there's the Evoker 5 stars demanding 1 for their extra skills. Evolites I have 3 of, so I can safely go for more Sunstones with the next couple of Guild Wars, which means I can spare 2 for Artemis at least. Again, my next Spark is very likely going to be the end of summer one, with Yukata Ilsa as a main target, followed by 1 or 2 newly released summer characters, and then Percival and Luo. The Eresh will likely have to wait the end of the Christmas Roulette and 1 or 2 more Sparks though. I kind of hope Cygames would calm down with the spam of new releases, but we all know that's not going to happen. We're in for 12 new summer characters, 4 new Halloween ones, and 4 to 5 more Christmas ones. The only grinds you can do to keep up at this point is in real life. Alright then, time to wait for the Flashfest and do some Guild War preparation. As always, thanks a lot for watching and see you soon. Ciao!